Welp, it looks like the Massachusetts Post Commission hath finally descended down like a swarm of locusts to respond to Attorney Alan Jackson's request to Boston's not-so-top cop, Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox, and his statements about former officer Kelly Dever. And their answer?
But what I need, it's not to be asked this question ever again.
Hello, and welcome back, roommates, to another titillating edition of Alexasrewm, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, and we are not law enforcement. We are just people who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including guy who looks like the church usher your mom warned you not to accept mints from after service, Michelle Cox, who apparently will not be facing the Massachusetts Police Disciplinary Board because apparently he's not a sworn law enforcement officer. But I thought he was Boston's top cop.
A man who was once beaten by his fellow officers is now Boston's top cop. Michael Cox, sworn in as Boston's newest police commissioner this morning.
On Thursday, the Post Commission's executive director, Enrique Zuniga, responded to Jackson, saying, quote, "The city of Boston has informed the commission that pursuant to department policies and governing statutes, the Boston Police Commissioner is a civilian executive," whatever the duck that means, "not a sworn law enforcement officer," Zuniga wrote in the letter to Jackson. I mean, it's giving Proctor saying, well, I wasn't the lead investigator, I was just the case officer. According to the city, Commissioner Cox does not personally carry out police duties and functions. Well, no, that's because he's got better things to do, right? Like host closed-door powwows with female rookie officers who were half his age with no union rep in sight. At least according to her account. Like, how is that not concerning? In any other job, in any other industry, that would immediately become an HR email of, hey, Cox. Yeah, we gotta talk about that little chat you had the other day with Kelly Dever. That really doesn't look too good, my guy. Michelle Wu, who's also a woman too. You would think that would be slightly concerning to her, being a female. Like, hey, why are you having these closed-door meetings with a young woman who is an underling of yours? And like, do you have a history of doing this? Based in part on this information, the commission thus far has not required non-sworn civilian executives such as Commissioner Cox to obtain law enforcement certification, nor has the commission treated them as being subject to other statutory or regulatory provisions governing sworn law enforcement officers, the executive director added, but he was sworn. He was sworn in. we just watched the clip. He was sworn in. So if he's not a sworn law enforcement officer, then why was he sworn in? I guess because it's a political appointment? I don't know. Even if he does have his certification, it doesn't matter because they're saying the rules don't apply to him anyways. Because he's technically in a civilian executive role. Like, this is just all kind of stupid. The commission is re-examining its policies, though, about civilians who are involved in overseeing police agencies. But he has experience. He has decades worth of experience. And you would think he would be the best guy for this job, considering his own personal experience with being attacked by his fellow officers. The commission thanks you for informing us of your views on this matter. He wrote to Jackson, your comments have been influential with respect to the commission's ongoing refinement of its policies concerning the treatment of civilian authorities. So, we need to coddle him even more. But he's not a civilian. If he has his certification, he's not a civilian. He's still a law enforcement officer, technically. This was the letter that Alan Jackson had written to Michelle Wu, the now newly reelected mayor of the city of Boston. And I think this was, I don't know if this has a date on it. October 27th. So last month, this was forwarded over because of public records requests that Corey Hopkins and friends kickstarted, where we found out about the heads up email from Scuba Steve over at the FBI, Cox6's official calendar listing a meeting with Kelly Dever. And we went over this in a previous video, so I'm not going to go over that again. I will link it in my video so you can catch up. Dear Attorney Jackson, and Brother Counsel is going to have him on his show on Sunday, so I'm excited to see if he has another comment he'd like to make. On behalf of the Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Post Commission, I am responding to your letter of October 27th, 2025 regarding Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox. In your letter, you requested that the commission initiate a full disciplinary review for dishonesty, lack of candor, and conduct unbecoming an officer under Boston Police Department policy, yada yada. Under the commission's governing statutes, and as relevant here, a quote, law enforcement officer includes any officer of an agency, including the head of the agency. The city of Boston has informed the commission that, pursuant to department policies and governing statutes, the Boston Police Commissioner is a civilian executive, not a sworn law enforcement officer. According to the city, Commissioner Cox does not personally carry out police duties and functions. Based in part on this information, the commission thus far has not required non-sworn civilian executives such as Commissioner Cox to obtain law enforcement certification, nor has the commission treated them as being subject to other statutory and regulatory provisions governing sworn law enforcement officers. So rules for thee, but not for me, right? That's exactly what it is. However, the commission is currently re-examining its policies regarding civilians who are involved in overseeing law enforcement agencies. So we just went over that. The commission thanks you for informing us of your views on this matter. Yada yada. While the commission would ordinarily forward you a copy of a complaint such as yours to the relevant appointing authority, the commission understands that your letter was also addressed directly to that person, namely Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. So they CC'd her on here. I think it would be smart of her to say something. Your silence is deafening. But politics, eh? That said, I wonder if this is why he's being sued in a totally unrelated matter, as opposed to it going through post. So this was published last week, and I haven't gotten around to covering it quite yet, but apparently a veteran police department captain is suing the department's highest ranking officials, alleging he was pressured to scrub a finding that a rookie officer lied in a police report and an internal affairs interview. So I guess when he said do the right thing, he really meant rewrite the dang thing. Captain Timothy Goffin, I hope I'm saying that correctly, a 34-year employee of the Boston Police Department, filed the suit in Suffolk Superior Court. In it, he claims the directive came indirectly from Police Commissioner Michael Cox. Goffin's complaint stems from an April 21st, 2018 incident when he was a lieutenant detective in the Internal Affairs Division, IAD. So that was 1 year before Cox left the BPD to go to Michigan. And I wonder why. I wonder if this is why. He investigated a confrontation between then probationary officer Brian Augustine, who was off duty but in uniform, and a motorist at the intersection of New Chardon and Merrimack Street. After the traffic incident, Augustine stopped his private vehicle, exited, and allegedly yelled at the other driver to pull the F over and get the F out, according to his disciplinary history obtained by 25 Investigates through a public records request, which, reminder folks, anybody can do. Augustine then prepared a police report that Goffin's team determined to be false, specifically to lay blame for the incident on the other driver. Augustine's report claimed he was in the middle lane, not the far left turn only lane, and he also misrepresented to a responding officer that the other driver had refused to produce his license and registration. Goffin's final IAD report recommended sustaining multiple charges, including department reports truthfulness. The phone call. So nearly 5 years later, in February of 2023, and after Goffin had been transferred out of the IAD superintendent-in-chief, Philip Owens allegedly telephoned Goffin and stated he was calling on behalf of Cox. Owens requested that Goffin change the finding of department reports truthfulness to the lesser charge of neglect of duty / unreasonable judgment, and that he altered the narrative. So he had to create a false memory here, folks, to remove any indication that Augustine lied during his IAD interview, the suit alleges. So perhaps there's a similar avenue Kelly Deaver can take. Because, girl, if there's ever a time to take action, the time is now. This is your moment. You can have a comeback. You could have one of the greatest comebacks of all time. I'd be phoning up this guy, especially because he has experience working with Coccyx. A year before, he dipped out and he went to Michigan. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but that's quite the move to go from one state to a completely different state. I know, it was crazy uprooting my life from New York to Tennessee. So I imagine there must have been a reason to accept a position in Michigan when you had spent how many years in the BPD? Just seems a little odd, in my opinion. So, anyways, until next time, thank you so much for watching. No, I got that backwards. So, thank you so much for watching, and until next time...
Commissioner.